Brian Baldinger, NFL Network Analyst. You can hear him call games for Compass Media, college football as well. And Baldy breakdowns as he joins us now. With a look at this team, Baldy, who's kind of limping into the playoffs. How much, when you watch that last regular season game, do you take a lot of stock in that, or you just kind of write it off to it's freezing cold, everything's locked up, I just want to get out of here?
No, I don't believe that. I was down the field before the game. I announced it for national radio. And I talked to a lot of the guys. I saw Fletcher down there and a lot of different Lane Johnson, a lot of guys that are going to the Pro Bowl and had great seasons. But they didn't look like they were mailing it in. And I don't think Doug wanted to take the offense off the field without scoring a point, but they did. And I think he wanted to give them some confidence. They just do anything to deserve the confidence.
When you watch Nick Foles over the last couple of weeks then, because there was a lot of debate. Should he have played? Should he not have played? You know, they're not going to play this week anyway, so I don't know how much carryover there would have been here, but what concerns you after watching him the last couple of weeks?
Well, just no success. I mean, in his last 15 third down passes, he hasn't converted one for a first down. 0 for 15. So, I mean, you know, he talked about having confidence, getting confidence, all that stuff. But you get confidence from success. And right now the success isn't there. Now, does the confidence come first and the success follows? Or do you have success that leads to the confidence? That's always the conundrum with any athlete or anybody looking for confidence.
Yeah, Baldy, you tweeted that the Eagles have the ultimate coaching job here on how to rebuild his confidence. So step-by-step kind of working on him in the film room this week. I mean, how do they approach getting the confidence back to Nick Foles?
First of all, it's a team game. It's not just Nick. I mean, Torrey Smith drops a 3rd and 7. I mean, all that stuff is true. But I think the first thing they do is they unleash just a feverish rushing attack. I mean, just one that is lethal. So you win the line of scrimmage. No matter, I mean, they're going to play the lowest seed on Saturday, January 13th, remaining in the playoffs. So I don't know if that's the Saints, the Rams, the Panthers, whoever, the Falcons. So it doesn't matter. They got to win the line of scrimmage. So they got to get a rushing attack. Then I think there's play action off rushing attack, and there's the run pass options that they favor coming off a feverish rushing attack. Those are the first steps you take before you go, okay, the quarterback just has to play better. You play better all the way around him to begin with.
Hey, Baldy, is the lack of separation from the wide receivers an issue here? Did Wentz cover up a lot of that because of his mobility?
Well, it was definitely a factor for sure against the Raiders, where it didn't look like the receivers were working very hard. So it carried over a little bit to Dallas, but I thought that there was more separation. I think that when you say everybody around you got to play better, I mean, everybody has to play better. And so the receivers have to work harder. Now, Carson was elite. I'm just doing something right now for NFL.com on him, and I've gone back and watched every play of his this year. He's ridiculous. He's so good.
That's some dedication right there, Baldy.
It's hard. It's hard to watch this and see how good he is in every phase. And then I don't care who's his backup. It's his backup.
And at the end of the day, so Sudfeld comes in. You talk about backups. You played in Philly. You know how the fans are. They see him complete his first pass. Put him in. Doug quashed that pretty quickly today, saying Nick Foles is our quarterback going forward.
He did see that, but he didn't exactly close the door. You know, I know he doesn't want to go to Nate Sudfeld, but you can't help but watch the way he threw the ball in the wind in the same cold that Dak couldn't throw the ball in, and Nick couldn't throw the ball, and he seemed to throw it just fine. I don't think there's a quarterback controversy. I'm not advocating one. But if Nick is really struggling, and he throws an interception like he did to Chidobe Awuzie the other day, it's going to be in the back of Doug's mind to go, we got to win the game.
And he came away with one interception. He really could have almost had two. The receiver had to be like a defender on that. I guess that Mike and I have talked about how much do you put stock into the conditions, because Derek Carr didn't look all that great in the Raiders game. Dak didn't look all that great. And then how much do you put on the individual himself?
Well, and look, I've seen Tom Brady in 35 below zero weather against the Titans in a playoff game look like it was sunny Miami. I saw Marcus Mariota going to Kansas City last year when it was -8, and he's a Hawaiian kid, and he took him down the field to win the game. So the weather is absolutely zero excuse. I saw Chris Long down the field before the game in shorts and a T-shirt. He said it's just a mindset. It's a mindset. And so if your hands are cold, figure out how to wear a glove, put the hot pockets in your pocket. What do we got to do?
Yeah.
This is a playoff game that they've worked really hard to get at home. You don't want to let anything slip through the cracks.
Brian Baldinger is with us at Baldy NFL, hashtag Baldy Breakdowns. One of the things you break down, and you're seeing a lot of this with Foles out there, is the center quarterback exchange on the shotguns a lot. I mean, this is something. I mean, all of a sudden has this gone awry because of it can't be because of the quarterback change, right? Is this on Kelsey?
Carson dropped a few too. Look, you're in shotgun as much as the Eagles are. You got to learn how to catch the ball and keep your eyes down the field. It's a fact. Look, the snaps aren't re-enrolled back to Nick Foles. I mean, are they right in the middle of his chest? They're not perfect. But it's inexcusable to drop these balls. And when he drops the ball, he drops his eyes, and the play looks like it's just a mess. So, look, Carson could get away with it because he's just elite, and he can quickly reset his eyes and rescue the play. Nick can't do that.
When you look at now, they didn't play Ajayi in the last game, so we didn't get a chance to really see. But does that indicate at all that they want to maybe use him as the guy, the lead guy? I mean, if you've watched this team over the last couple of weeks here, what is the best way to sustain offensive drives with Nick Foles out there? Is it using that running game, play action stuff? What do you think is the best way to kind of approach their offense with Nick Foles moving forward? Because it can't be the same as the offense was with Wentz, which was obviously a lot of improvising.
Yeah, well, you can't count on that. I mean, he just plays beyond the X's and O's. I talked to Doug down the field before the game Sunday. He likes all four backs. He thinks Wendell Smallwood is his best screen back. I don't know if they're going to activate all four. I think he likes Ajayi as his lead back, but there's certain things that Clement does in the screen game. There's certain things that he likes from LeGarrette Blount. You're not going to see just one back in there right now. You're just not going to see it.
Of the three teams, you've seen Carolina against Philly. Atlanta obviously went to the Super Bowl a year ago, and then you got this Saints team, which some people think is the best in the NFC. Which is the best matchup for this Philadelphia team?
Well, if you look at the way Cam Newton threw the ball the other day, you'd say the Panthers are, because he was awful. And he has been highly inconsistent. Now, as much as he's been inconsistent, when he starts to run the ball, this offense clicks, and they move. And so he's different than both Matt Ryan and Drew Brees. But if you wanted to take your chances right now, you go, give me Cam Newton the way he threw the ball Sunday against the Falcons.
Brian Baldinger is with us here, Baldy Breakdowns, and the Eagles, obviously, that matchup with the Dallas Cowboys will be the last standing memory for 2 weeks before they play that playoff game. But there was a lot of other interesting things, and, as we get into the playoff time now, you were tweeting about Patrick Mahomes, and people were wondering, why they took this guy. They got Alex Smith, who's playing pretty well, but it seemed that you were pretty impressed with what you saw from him.
Well, I was impressed going all the way back to the preseason. I did a lot of his games at Texas Tech. I did his first start for Cliff Kingsbury there in Texas Tech, and I probably did 7 or 8 of his starts. I got a chance to watch him. And in any given Saturday afternoon, the Red Raiders had to put up 50 to win, and that's how he played the game. He started, I got to get 50, and then maybe we could win. But sometimes he even needed 60 against Oklahoma. So he has that type of mentality. And when he played this past week, it's the first win by a drafted Chief quarterback in 30 years.
Holy mackerel.
Getting back to Todd Blackledge in 1987, to have the last time the Chiefs drafted a quarterback that won a game. It's the most unbelievable statistic I've ever seen. But he was really good. He was really good. I mean, he saw the field, elite arm talent, fearless. He was really good.
Hey, Baldy, what do you think about Jimmy Garoppolo? We've seen some new quarterbacks here in recent weeks, and what do you think about Jimmy G and where the 49ers are heading with him under center?
I think if the 49ers were going to the postseason right now, they'd be the most feared team in the NFC. He's phenomenal. He is
Wow.
There's absolutely nothing that he can't do, and he's taken a group of receivers by the name of Kendrick Bourne, Trent Taylor, George Kittles, Marquise Goodwin, and it looks like the 49ers under Joe Montana.
That's a pretty bold statement there, Baldy.
I know, but it doesn't matter. Jacksonville went in there, and they were the number one team defensively in this league in almost every category, and they put up 44 points.
So will the Patriots regret that deal?
I don't think so. I don't think they live with any regrets. Tom Brady is an MVP-level candidate for this league. He's having a great season. They're having a great season. They're the number one seed in the AFC. And I think they think he's going to keep moving on and marching on.
Couple things real fast. DiFilippo. I had read something that you said about him back when the Eagles played the Bears. I think of the three guys, Schwartz, DiFilippo, and Reich, that he'll be the guy that gets a head coaching job.
I do too. I think putting him with Mitchell Trubisky would make a lot of sense. I think he understands the position. I think he understands how to develop the position. And maybe as important, he understands how to develop the backups to that position. That's what he's been working with Nate Sudfeld all year. It's probably why he looked like he did when he went in after never playing an NFL game. So I believe in John DiFilippo, his mind, his attitude, and his relationship with quarterbacks.
Now, a year ago, Baldy, Lurie famously blocked DiFilippo from going anywhere, so how would it hurt Wentz if his Wentz whisperer left? Is that a concern for you?
I think Carson Wentz wants to be great. And players that just want to be great, coaching never is in the way. I think they figure out a way how to be great. And I think Carson's just like that. He's wired like that. I think it certainly helps to have a guy like John DiFilippo and go to his room every day, spend hours in that room with him. I think he sat him down at the end of the season last year, kind of read him the riot act about, mechanics, paying attention to the mechanics, not scoffing when the head coach calls you out on the mechanics. And I think it was a really important discussion. And I think those are the type of discussions you got to have with quarterbacks, because sometimes they think they know it all, and they don't.
How about Jim Schwartz? Do you think he ends up with a job?
I think he's going to be a real sharp candidate. I think he's going to interview real well. I think he commands the room really well. I think players love to play for him. I think he's going to be in the conversation with a couple of teams.
We know the coaching carousel continues. We'll see what ends up happening with the Eagles. Peterson was asked about it today. He said they're focused on the playoffs, as most of these guys, they're all this happens every single year you see these guys. So, Baldy, what goes on this week for Philly? What do they do as they have to sit around and wait?
Well, I think, for a guy like Doug, he had begun – they'd seen the Panthers. They know the Falcons. They haven't seen the Saints. So I think they're looking at the Saints. They saw the Rams. So I think they're looking ahead a little bit as a staff to what the Saints might be. I think they've begun that already. And then it's really a look back to the fundamentals, just the basics. I don't think you're game planning right now, but I think you're trying to sharpen your toolbox all the way around. Whether it's third downs right now, what the problems are on third down, mechanics from the quarterback, the offensive line, how they can perform better. All those things are, to make sure that maybe they get those corners to take a long, hard look at double moves in practice. Those are the things that we're working on.
Would you anticipate Sidney Jones playing, or was that just kind of a thanks for working hard?
No, he's going to play. I think they wanted to see maybe more action out there. They were hoping that Dak would, challenge him a little bit in the passing game. But I think he's in the rotation right now, and I think he'll be active come playoff time.
All right, Brian Baldinger, hashtag Baldy Breakdowns, at Baldy NFL on Twitter. And, of course, the Eagles getting ready for somebody on January the 13th.
TBD.
We'll preview that game, of course, next week. Baldy, appreciate the time as always, pal.
Okay, my pleasure, guys. Anytime.